Exodus chapter 14. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying,
Tell the children of Israel to turn back and encamp near Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea, directly opposite Baal-zephon. By this Pharaoh will think the children of Israel are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert wilderness. Then I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so he will pursue them, and I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, that the Egyptians may know that I am Yahweh.
And they did so. When the king of Egypt was told the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his officials was turned against the people, they then said,
Why have we done this, letting Israel go from serving us?
So he made ready his chariot, and took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, and officers were over all of them. So Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with a high hand, boldly. But the Egyptians pursued them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen and his army, and overtook them, camping by the sea beside Pi-hahiroth, opposite Baal-zephon. And as Pharaoh approached, the children of Israel looked up, and behold, there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified, and the children of Israel cried out to Yahweh. And they said to Moshe,
Because there were no graves in Egypt, have you taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us by taking us out of Egypt?
Did we not say to you in Egypt, Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in this wilderness.
And Moshe said to the people,
Do not fear, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see them again, no more, forever. Yahweh will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace.
Then Yahweh said to Moshe,
Why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward, but lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I indeed will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will follow them. And I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, his chariots and his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have gained honor for myself over Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen.
Then the Malach of Yahweh, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front of them and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and the camp of Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other side, so neither went near the other all night long. And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea into dry ground, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued them, going after them into the midst of the sea, all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And in the morning watch, Yahweh looked down upon the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw it into confusion. He made the wheels of their chariots become jammed, so they drove them with difficulty. And the Egyptians said,
Let us flee from the face of Israel, for Yahweh fights for them against the Egyptians.
Then Yahweh said to Moshe,
Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians, on their chariots, and on their horsemen.
So Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and when the morning appeared, the sea returned to its full depth, as the Egyptians were fleeing into it. So Yahweh overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the children of Israel into the sea. Not one of them survived. But the children of Israel walked upon dry ground in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. So Yahweh saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. So Israel saw the great work which Yahweh had done upon the Egyptians. So the people reverenced Yahweh and believed Yahweh and his servant Moshe.